When I look back at the start in April 1991, I didn't have to go recruit anybody. I was, as I said earlier, I was coming home to staff that I'd worked together with some years before. So they were ready for change, I was ready for change, and we just jumped in together right from day one. And that initial seven of us took us through the first few years until we finally started to grow. My name's Mike Tulloch. I'm employee number 1 in the company. I founded the company in the summer of 1990.
Kevin Keaton, Field Operations Manager. I've been here since day one.
My name's Eric Ableson, Survey Crew Chief.
Len Ivison, moved up to CAD, computer design. I helped Mike set up the first network.
Pat King, employee number 14. I started out in the survey crew. Then I went to health and safety officer. Then I went to contract administration. That's where I finished. I'm retired now.
Yeah, Marshall Thompson. I was the design engineer from basically day one.
Thessalon was the starting point, and I was born and raised in the Thessalon area on a farm outside of Thessalon. When I look back at my early years, it was the relationship I had with those original 7 staff members that there wasn't, the boss and the employee mentality. We were just a team. From day one, we were a team because we worked together. But we actually, most of us came together 10 years before that with the predecessor company. And actually, after I got my license as a land surveyor, I left to go work in the Sioux for 6 years, Sault Ste. Marie, to get experience in engineering, and Marshall took my place in the office here. And so we all were used to working with each other, not all starting at once, but generally speaking for the 10 years prior to the start of this company. When I purchased the predecessor company, it was a return home to me, even though I never moved. I commuted every day. But it was a return home to work with these guys, and they were ready, and so it was more than ready, I think, for that change. and so there was we were well experienced with each other, and it was more like, okay, the team is set now, let's go. And there never was kind of a build-up of learning how to run a business. It was, we hit the ground running from day one.
That's a mild statement. I remember the first minute. We moved everything from the old company across the street.
In a snowstorm.
It was the first days at Tulloch, it was welcome. We needed a change. Very excited that Mike took over, because I'd been working with Mike for 10 years prior to that, and we've become very good friends. Moving across the road, and you've heard this probably a few times, but moving across in a snowstorm. And it was to get out of the other building into this little wee tiny office that we had. Those early years were tough. It wasn't all what we are today. There was a number of sacrifices by staff. We took pay cuts. Some days asked not to cash your check. I had a young family, 3 kids at home, and it's tough.
I think about the first 10 years in our business, and when you're starting from nothing and you want to grow quickly, cash flow, and you've heard the old adage, cash is king. That's proven over and over and over again. If you don't have the cash, you're struggling. And we struggled with cash flow for quite a few years. And that original team of 7 that grew eventually to 20 understood that, and they were very, very appreciative of that. There were times when we didn't have enough money to meet payroll, and different guys would say, I can hold off for a few days. That means a lot to me. I get emotional thinking about that now, that as a group of 7, we managed our cash or our lack of cash together. We decided whether we could afford a new printer or whether we could afford a new transit. We didn't even have total stations in those days. But we made those tough cash decisions together, and that really bonded us as a team.
No resentment, none whatsoever, because we had the right people. We built really, really well from those early years. Everyone bought into it, embraced it. As things improved, Mike more than paid us back. So it was a good investment on our behalf as well, not only his. I thought those early years.
Mike always had our back, always. everything he promised us, he always came through.
I have to agree with that. Some days you'd have a bad day, yeah, but there was more good days than bad days.
I remember one day that the staff was probably about 4 or 5 years in, was called into the boardroom, and there was maybe 10 of us at that time, and Mike handed out a piece of paper upside down and he said, you know, turn that over, and it was that we had all received a $10,000 bonus, which is probably 20,000 now. And what I remember from that was Mike's face, that he was so proud and excited to be able to share with us, and that's when I knew that we had made it.
1992 to 1995, early 96 was a very difficult time across Ontario. High interest rates, high gas prices, and a heavy recession in the economy. And there was a period of time that we even thought we might have to close the office and work from home, convert our garage into a working office just to keep the costs down, but never did it ever enter our mind that this couldn't be done. It seemed at that point like it was endless because we were just getting started, but the big change came in the end of 1996. It was Highway 69 from Parry Sound to Horseshoe Lake Road down to MacTier. Biggest job ever done at that point for the province of Ontario.
I'll agree with Mike on that the Highway 69, but to preempt that, Mike was ready for this. When the MTO privatized, being geographically where we are, there was a number of staff that we captured from MTO, and we were ready to jump in with both feet, and so we hit it big time.
Well, these two have mentioned that job. I remember working on it. It was quite interesting, amazing.
And we just made a decision that was going to be our forte, and 1997 became a renaissance year where our work just took off, and it hasn't slowed down since. So we waited and waited for the first 5 years to hit that mother lode, and it turned out to be highway construction administration. And at one point, by 2000, we were the 6th largest service provider for MTO in the province of Ontario. Most people don't know that, but we worked from Sudbury, North Bay, right through to the Manitoba border, and we had all the work we wanted because nobody wanted to come that far north.
I interviewed with Mike in 1998 with Marshall Thompson and Len Ivison, and I quickly came to learn that he was very outgoing, and he was a go-getter as well as the original crew. There was a job that we worked on in the first year with Mike. They were doing a bridge deck inspection on the St. Joseph Island Bridge. And Mike himself, so here was the owner of the company. He was on site working the rock drill, and I was working traffic control at the time with the stop sign. And it just goes to show you how hard of a worker he was, how dedicated he was to his craft. You know, I really looked up to him for that.
I would say what I take the most pride in is that we have a company that cares, and that's reflective in the moniker, and it's evident.
I'd say we started this, and I think we set in motion the standards for the company, and I'd like to think that we have a lot to do with it.
Yeah, mine's the same as Kevin, and it's basically that we were here at the start of all this, and to see how successful the company has been over these years. It's I feel pride about that.
When I look at Tulloch today, and I have to think of what's my sense of pride is enormous, and yet it's not necessarily about any one thing. I'm proud of the skill set and good people. I see good people everywhere I turn. But I think if I really boil it down to what causes the most gratification is that we continue to do it right, both in the quality of the work and the care we have for one another, from team member to team member, but also to the client and the customer.
One word for Tulloch today, I would say cooperation. All the staff, whether it be within the structural field or the engineering field or geomatics field, we all work together and we all cooperate to obtain the same goals and get the job done.
Quality work and get it done.
Camaraderie. like everybody gang together, and we never had any fear, just go do it, get it done.
I agree that we always, sometimes driving to the job, you didn't know how you were going to do the job, but we knew we had to get it done, and we always figured a way out how to get it done.
Oh yeah, we've had the culture since day one, family oriented. You know, we weren't very financially well in those early years, but like at Christmas, we'd have a skating party, bring all the kids, go to Mike and Kathy's, have a hot chocolate, that kind of stuff, you know. It just brought everyone together, and our kids, like our kids are friends too, you know, that kind of stuff.
I'm drawn to the fact that for all the employees that work for Tulloch, they have a family back home. And there's lots of sacrifices that are made, whether it's time away or long hours or working in the evening. And I would say that even though I'm retired now, I don't take that for granted. I hope my sons don't take that for granted, and I'm sure they don't. But I want to say that publicly to everyone and to their families. There's a lot of sacrifice to deliver on time and on budget and do quality work, and we're grateful for that. And we appreciate the families that support our workers to achieve that.